Usual, I'm good at real estate. I'm not very good at this. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at Manny Khoshbin again through the eyes of Spencer Cornelia. He's kind of a critic. I looked at something he did the other day on Chris Crone. I was kind of impressed with Spencer. He questions what he hears. I tell you guys all the time, don't believe me, don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe what anybody tells you. Anybody stands to make a dime from me, you can't trust them. That's just, you got to just assert good sense. So everything good, audio good, video good, please let me know. And we'll go ahead and get into this. And, yep. So you guys obviously hear me. So give me 1 second here, and we'll get rolling. All right. So today we're going to talk about Manny Khoshbin, Spencer Cornelia. I hadn't watched this video yet. I watched just the very beginning of it, just long enough to figure out that it's about 7-8 minutes long. We'll probably stretch it to double. We can talk about other stuff too. If you're just now getting to my YouTube channel, my name's Tom McKay. I wrote a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I guess you can see it right there. It's been a bestseller on Amazon and Kindle. Basically, it talks about how I made my first million and many millions after that. Tens of millions. I started at 19 years old, long hair, bought my first building. It's roughly 6,000 square foot commercial industrial building. I had no idea that I could buy it by myself without really any money to begin with. I got a 6-month escrow. That's what made it possible. And these are the things that I show you that you can do too. You can do it all with your own money. A lot of people on YouTube try to take your money. They lead you in, they funnel you into ultimately they'll say free this, free that, and then ultimately it leads to a big fat bill. Whether it's Than Merrill done some of this stuff with his seminars. People complain about it all the time. Say they get led into a free seminar and get intimidated into or pushed, and some actually fall for it. But they'll spend anywhere from $1,200 to $20,000 on like the super duper help, which anyhow the free seminar itself would just appear to be a bait and switch for something else. Also, similarly, I've been critical of Grant Cardone, Chris Crone, let's take a look. Let's watch this thing. Let's take a look. Generally, I'm very critical of real estate guys that stand in front of cars. I can't stand it. I'm here to talk about real estate. I have a nice car. I've had all the different, I haven't had a Bugatti, but I've had a lot of nice Mercedes and Porsches and some pretty cool cars. But I don't really use them. I don't use them to entice you. And, look, I have a book. If you're going to get ripped off, buy my book for $10 or $20. If that's all you ever get ripped off when it comes to real estate information, believe me, that'd be a blessing. Because people get ripped off for much, much more. I have a mentorship too. It's $600. I filled it up last time I announced it. I'm going to have another one starting the 15th of August. You can go to my site, Flip Anything USA, and check it out. But let's get on here. Let's start looking at what Spencer has to say about Manny. You guys, let me know if we got any audio issues.
Exotic sports cars, luxury houses, and excessive wealth claims. On paper, Manny is no different than all of our favorite gurus, but he's not a fake guru in any way. Today's episode is on Manny Khoshbin, a man who has attained a net worth in the hundreds of millions of dollars and has started up a second YouTube channel teaching real estate investing. Manny has done multiple real estate deals that have made him more money in one deal than Dan Pena has earned in his entire career. Manny has become a YouTube and Instagram celebrity with 840,000 subscribers on his main YouTube channel and 1.5 million followers on his Instagram.
Good morning, guys. It's Saturday morning and it's showtime. So we gotta get the Senna out of here. Gotta move a few cars out.
It's easy to see why. He has one of the most impressive car collections on social media. He built his empire through savvy real estate deals, and he's entertaining to follow. Even for a guy who has completed $500 million worth of commercial transactions, he feels relatable. To me, he looks like a modern-day Godfather. In this picture, he seriously looks like a young Al Pacino ready to take over the city with his family name everywhere. Oh, whoops, he already has done that. Manny bought this property.
That was funny. That looked like more like Morticia. And remember the Addams Family? That looked a lot more like the Addams Family than the Godfather, the last one.
For $28.9 million. Using his savviness in the commercial space, he was able to lease the property up and sell for $40 million. If you ever wonder how someone can afford 3 Bugattis, selling real estate and making a $12 million profit in a couple years is one of those ways. Let's talk about those supercars. In this CNBC article, we find out that Manny can actually make a profit on flipping cars as well. Quoted.
You know, that's funny because, look, I've flipped cars when I was younger. You know, that's what I started with. Before I had my first piece of real estate at 19, I started buying and selling cars when I was 15. But now it makes sense because Manny, when I was talking about Manny Khoshbin, people laughed at my first video and they said, he's a car guy, And the only reason I found Manny Khoshbin is because I'd seen Meet Kevin, who was, I think he's a great YouTuber, but I'm not much of a fan of his investment. But he was being critical of Manny, and then I made a video critical of Kevin. Anyways, but it makes sense to me if Manny's actually making money on cars because I do not understand buying a depreciating asset. I can tell you all the time, I tell you, keep your overhead low. Don't buy a nice car. Live below your means in the beginning. The more money you have available to you and the more debt or payments you can handle, you will become so fast and you become wealthy at a much higher rate if you keep your overhead low. And but let's keep listening.
In the article, Manny says, I wasn't thinking about selling it. Honestly, I was buying to keep it permanently, but I got an offer I couldn't refuse. See, he's even using language from the Godfather movies. In a little over 5 months, Manny sold his Koenigsegg Agera RS Phoenix for $1.9 million profit. It was a special-made one-of-one edition from one of the most premier car brands. That's a cool lifestyle to have a custom-made Koenigsegg made just to your liking. How did Manny attain all of this wealth? If you look at his corporate wiki, you can see that the man has started a lot of businesses. His most recent startup was Fuzul Inc., which was founded in 2017, and I'm unsure if it's still operating today. Fuzul is described as a local on-demand marketplace of eyes for hire. We connect short-term jobs to local communities.
Hey, on that note, Manny and Spencer have both commented on my videos in the past. Manny, give me a call. I actually have an app business, and I actually have something that might be interesting. I didn't know that about you till just now. Anyways, you know where to reach me.
Most of his businesses look like addresses or names of properties he owns.
So, yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, corporate wiki is pretty interesting. You can go in and you can see a lot of things and how they interact and all the way down to, how much, I have a lot of family limited partnerships. Similar stuff comes up, I'm sure. But anyways, very, and then that's interesting. Everything points to Manny there, but I don't know maybe that's his real name. Oh, Manashur. Oh, I get it. Manny is short for Manoush. Does that sound right, guys? Anybody know? Yeah, the cars are for marketing too. Funny Buddy says the cars also for marketing. I don't think so. I think he started with the cars. I think he was just rich and having fun doing what he wanted. I don't know how he made money showing off his cars in the beginning, but I believe he brought in his real estate stuff a little later. And I'll be quite honest. Look, I like Manny from what I've seen, and unless maybe Spencer's got something to show that I don't know about. Spencer's pretty good. But it's funny, when I was you said he's Arab? Yeah, that's an Arab name? A lot of people will quickly assume sometimes by somebody's ethnicity that they're poor or rich, okay? And I can tell you, a lot of people will assume that, like, oh, man, he's an Arab. He probably got a bunch of oil money. And I have met and seen people like that. I've seen a guy in Vegas literally throw $200,000-$300,000 away at the craps table, and then asked for more, and they gave him hundreds of thousands more, and he lost it all again. And then I got tired of watching him lose money, but he actually had like a little harem following around. And I just said, I got to go to bed. I'm not a gambler, to be honest. I don't feel particularly good winning on a roulette wheel or 21. I don't really feel particularly good winning. I don't. Because I don't feel like I earned it. I just don't. It takes away the fun for me. I like making deals. I like making great deals, and that's what you'll learn, in my book, how to do that. But yeah, so I don't get the thrill out of gambling. I just never have it. I'd rather win, and if ever I lose, I feel foolish. But it's interesting. So a lot of times, like I say, my impression could be from an Arab person, because I remember asking one of the gals in the harem. She was beautiful. And I said, what does this guy do? He can lose so much money. And she says to me, he has everything. That was the answer. So that's all I know. He has everything. I don't know where he got it. But no, I believe he did start at the bottom. That's my understanding. And I've seen a little of his story when I did when I looked at him. And, he looked like he came from very modest means, just like me. He's a lot wealthier than I am. But he's got hundreds of millions. I don't have hundreds of millions. I have tens of millions, but I don't have hundreds of millions. But so it's pretty impressive. The wealth is pretty impressive. But I was going to say, you got to be careful. Some people would like to believe, oh, yeah, man, he's an Arab. He, inherited his wealth. I know that that's not true from what I've understood. But people also, listen, I'm a pretty casual dressing guy. Especially when I was younger, I had long hair, bloodshot eyes. Nobody thought that I had the money that I had, and when I started, I didn't have any money. But so be careful. Be careful how you interpret people. Never assume they're rich, smart, dumb, or otherwise, because you're probably wrong. You're probably wrong. But let's keep watching the video.
This is common for real estate investors to have a separate LLC for each property they own, which brings us to how Manny made his wealth.
Now, you don't necessarily need an individual property. Listen, a lot of people tell me, especially when they first get started, look, don't even worry about having a partnership until you have at least $1 million equity, okay? At least. You can buy quite a few properties in your name, flip them, and you can do 1031s, you can do all sorts of stuff. But at some point, when you have a lot of wealth, you start creating independent entities to hold your property. Another reason, or the main reason I always use, is to pass it to my kids. My kids are my partners. My family's my partners, and they don't, even though they didn't really put any money in financially, but I've gifted them some, and then those assets. In fact, the building I'm sitting in, I was actually shocked one day to find out that my kids own 64 or 65% of my building that I'm sitting in right now. And I had to go back and read the books and go, wait a minute, do they have control of this thing already? And of course, I maintain control with as little as 20%. So I can own very little and control everything, which that's a different story, but we can talk about that some other time. But the reason I say you don't need to create a partnership for every property, not that Spencer said specifically, but at Manny's size, if he's buying $20 million buildings, then absolutely, and have an entity on each of those separately for sure. But if you just own, you can put a few million or several million in one entity, because you can buy umbrellas and things to protect you. Insurance is very important. You want to have insurance, but at some point, you don't want everything in one basket, because if it gets tainted, I call it, if it gets cancer, cancer could mean a lot. It could mean somebody suing you, it could be you ran over somebody, it could be something you did on purpose or on accident, but it could end up haunting and tainting the whole bag. So you create entities to separate everything, kind of like, think about a fruit bowl. If there's a piece of spoiled fruit, you don't want it sitting in there with the rest, right? Well, that's kind of what it's doing if it's all in the same entity. So at some point, you separate say at $1 million plus, separate those entities, because once the one starts to rot, it will spread. But again, different story. Yeah, my kids aren't going to kick me out of the building, but yeah, I got 4 kids, all beautiful, great kids. But I got one that's kind of a lot like me, and that's the one that, we butt heads the most. But let's keep watching.
Wealth, commercial real estate, and flipping properties. Let's take a quick house tour of his home in Newport Coast, California. If his name was Dan Locke, he'd claim he owned the house while renting and massively overinflate the value.
I don't know
Manny
Dan
actually
Locke.
does own this house, which was purchased for $20 million in December of 2017. Using the Orange County Recorder's database search, we can see that Manny has been a part of 245 transactions in Orange County alone. This does not mean 245 different properties, but it does provide evidence that he's completing a lot of real estate transactions. Manny also owns property and completes commercial transactions in Texas. He's even completed a transaction in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Doing some research on his Koshbin Broadway LLC funds, where he raised $25 million for each of the 2 funds,
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know and that doesn't mean he raised outside capital, but it sounds like he raised outside capital. Maybe he does take in partnerships. Maybe he does do partners. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm sure that they're accredited. Not 100% sure, but I didn't know that. I didn't know he was putting together funds that took in outside money. Like I say, not that it's bad, but there's some people that actually do have unaccredited, and meaning they go after small investors, regardless of their net worth. A lot of times you don't want to have a partner in if they're betting everything. It'll just, it gets messy. You just don't want to do it. And I've rarely, like I say, the very few partnerships that I've had were 50-50 in the beginning, and then I didn't even want a partner ever again. I took in one partner kind of later in life, and this is about 30 years ago, and I let him go in one-third partner. I own 2/3. I put in 2/3 the money, he put in 1/3 the money, and I've made him millions of dollars, and now he's actually passed, and now his kids are my partners, and they're very happy as well. So let's look at some comments here. Yep, he started from the bottom. Spencer's critical. Yeah, I like that about him. Listen, I welcome scrutiny, on me or anybody, because it's fair game. If you're going to tell people you can teach them something, you certainly should be able to demonstrate it. You got to be able to demonstrate it. So, if again, let's just keep watching this thing. Let's just keep watching.
purchased this property in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. What Manny has done really well is purchase properties at a discount, find inefficiencies in the way they're leased or managed, add tenants, and then sell at a massive profit. He's also excellent at timing the market, which is extremely difficult to do. If you aren't familiar, a 1031 exchange allows real estate investors to sell property and roll the proceeds into another property that is similar or better and hold off on paying taxes on the profit. Manny has used this 1031 exchange to his benefit throughout his career. Being able to pass off capital gains tax to future sales allows an investor to scale rather quickly.
So you know what, I'm glad he mentioned this because a lot of people ask me about 1031s, and I did a video on 1031s, and he's 100% correct. It's a great way to make it simple if those of you don't understand it, but I'm going to tell you something you may not know. Okay, so look, I got two 1031s going right now. In fact, I'm frustrated because it took me longer to make that damn thumbnail that you just saw that brought you in here than it's going to probably take me to make this video sitting here. That's why I go live. I'm done with it. I can do real estate, but this isn't my what I do best. But what I was going to say about the 1031s is, and look, I'll show you this. I'm experimenting with my new studio anyhow. So look here. I got my iPad here. I've already did one video on here. So let's just say you sell one property. You sell a property, right? Let's just say you got a house, okay? And you paid $100, and now you're going to sell it for $200, and you're going to take the proceeds of that sale, and that's going to go. We'll just call it the 1031, okay? And what that is that's a middleman. Okay, I'm going to put an M there. That's your accommodator. That's the proper thing. It's an accommodator. So the proceeds from your sale go here to this accommodator. Then your buy, okay, and let's say you got a big, or usually that's what he's talking about, Manny's doing. You know, when he's going from a small purchase, he's parlaying the profits into another purchase that costs as much or more than what he sold it for. So like this property here, you know, let's say we paid 100, we're selling for 200. Let's say we buy this one for 250 or 220. Okay, by having the money go this route, it seems a little circuitous because it doesn't go to you. What it does is it goes to your accommodator, and then you go find it, and then the money goes to the purchase, and in the end, you or that entity still owns it. They own it. Okay. And you can keep doing this over and over again. The 220, you know, you sell for 400, and then it goes into something that costs 600, right? Or 800, say, okay? Just give you an idea. Or really, how about this? Let's look at this a little differently. Let's say you take it, let's just say you take it to, you know, $1.8 million, okay? Okay? We'll just say 1.8. That's how you build your wealth, is you keep deferring the gains into bigger and better purchases, but you don't touch it. That's why I'm so sour on these people that ask you for money to invest with them, because what they're doing is they're using your money to purchase property to get rich. You're getting a very, very small piece of the action, and they're getting the enormous amount of the profitability on those things by using your money. So listen, it's not a win-win. I mean, it's possible. My partner certainly had a win-win, but guess what? We were equally vested pro rata. But back to my point on this is that's how that works. But here's what a lot of you may not know. Where's the eraser on this thing? Okay. Is that there's also something called a reverse 1031. And I wouldn't mind doing a video with Manny just on this alone, because I'm sure he's done it. With a reverse 1031, okay, a reverse 1031 is, I haven't done one yet. I'm going to do one. But with a reverse 1031, let's say, let's go back to, let's say I have, you know, let's just say I have 3 properties, okay? And they're all owned by, you know, we'll just call it AB LLC. Okay, it owns all 3 of these, okay? Now I have something else I want to buy that's quite big. You know, say it's I'm jumping up from houses to a warehouse or something, okay? These 3 total, let's just say these 3 total, they're worth $1 million a piece, and this building costs $5 million, okay? So a reverse 1031, what I would do is I would take $5 million from my own pocket, not from these properties, but from my own pocket. Now I may borrow these. Let's say I have a couple of buildings over here that are worth $5 million, and I have heavy equity in them. So I'll borrow money from these, and I'll pay cash for this building, but that after I pay cash for it, it will go to a 1031. It's a reverse 1031. Now I buy it, it goes to the 1031, or I should say the cash goes to the 1031, and then the 1031 buys this one. Now this is why we're doing this, is I'm buying this other property with my cash. It's my cash. I'm paying cash for the property, but the reason I'm doing it is so that I can sell these 3. It's very tough. If I didn't sell all these together, like maybe if I sold these all together, I still need a property to buy. And a lot of times that's the worst thing, is the pressure of a 1031 is you have your property to sell, and now you're not even sure it's going to sell for sure because nothing's sold till it's sold. Then when it sells, you just started the clock. You got 45 days to find something and specifically designate it as your purchase. This way that I'm showing you now gives you a lot more time, because with the 1031, I buy this thing. Now it's just sitting there paid for, right? Now I can sell, let's just say I sell this property in February. but I designate this property as a purchase. Then I sell this one in, March, and I designate this as the purchase. And then I sell this one, let's just say I sell this one in December, or, whatever. I don't know if we got actually that much time. Let's just say I sell them within 6 months of each other. It reverses, gives you a lot more time, and I designate it. So it gives me time to sell each of these properties for the maximum that I can sell them for, and divert those funds till all those are sold, and all these go to a 1031 too. These all actually go to the 1031 guy too. And once all the money is in, it buys the building, okay? And then the cash that I had paid for the building originally, it goes back to me, or to the two entities that I borrowed from. So that's a little messy, but I think you follow me. But that's a reverse 1031. I'm going to do another video on it in the future. But we'll get back to the video, unless you got any questions here. What do we got? Yeah, I don't know about the trust stuff. You might want to go talk to somebody directly about that. Good. Adam, you got it. Everybody else understand that? Do you understand that? What I did there? I hope I made it clear. All right, let's get back to the video.
And scaling is exactly what Manny has done. I haven't seen an exact number on his current portfolio, but I imagine it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars in value. Let's talk about Manny's mentorship. He offers this service for $100 a month to help you learn real estate and have access to someone who's completed hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions. The best mentors in life are always just one step ahead of you. This is why I recommend learning from people in your community who are just 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. The best mentorship comes from ongoing relationships with someone, not a monthly Zoom call with someone who doesn't do the same type of investing that you do. Manny is great at taking on large commercial deals. If you're someone who's a couple steps behind him and are in the large commercial space, then Manny would be hands down one of the best mentors for you.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to give you guys a little taste of my mentorship program.
So before we listen to this mentorship program, I'm just going to say, I started with 0, and I know Manny did too. But I continue to do the same thing that I've always done. I'll flip little properties, 100,000, 200, 300, 400,000, $1 million or more. It doesn't matter. But not at 20, 30 million. That's a level. I could probably use Manny's course at my level to go into bigger, better things. But maybe he I can tell you, real estate hasn't really changed over the years. So he may still be a good mentor. What I don't know is if he can still relate to flipping a $10,000 property, a 20, a 30, a 40. He's got to be younger than me, unless he's got a lot more money. Maybe he gets his blood replaced every couple years, but he can afford to. But I don't know. So I don't know I don't know that Manny would be a better mentor than me for people that are worth, say less than a few million, 5 million, whatever. But because I'm good for the guy that's at 0, because that's where I started, and he may have too. But I still do lots of deals that are under $1 million. But anyhow, let's keep going, because that's kind of where I think Spencer was going with that.
This video that you're gonna watch is one of many videos in our modules.
But if you're looking to learn real estate, then people like Manny are not good sources for you to learn. I know a lot of you are going to hear that and disagree, which is totally fine, but Manny doesn't really teach real estate. His educational real estate videos only touch on the most surface level of details. If you are a beginning investor, you need to be following the Bigger Pockets podcast, their YouTube, and spending time in their forums. Additionally, you should be attending all of your local.
Now, I don't know why he's such a big fan of Bigger Pockets, but maybe he'll explain. Because I can tell you, and I'm not knocking Bigger Pockets, but if you look at Bigger Pockets and how Bigger Pockets started, it was somebody that it says that, I guess the founder, and it's not, I think Brandon is the one I'm looking at here on the left or wherever here. he doesn't have that much experience. But I haven't heard too much to come out of his mouth that I would argue with, but it's still not as firsthand. You know, he's young. He's only been doing it, I don't know, maybe he's bought his first property 10 years ago. I don't know the facts on that. But he's kind of the face of Bigger Pockets. But I know that pretty much anybody can join Bigger Pockets, but if you look at the founder's message, it was like, I wanted to find a place where I could go to get real estate information. And Bigger Pockets is kind of an outlet of a bunch of different, anybody that wants to say, and to be honest, it looks like anybody can say, hey, I don't think they scrutinize everybody. You know, my first, in fact, when I went on to one of their sites, it said there was like a real estate investment trust. You know, not much different than what, say, Grant Cardone, who I don't like his investing style. So I don't know that it's a pass that you can just go learn from Bigger Pockets. I'm going to disagree with Spencer on that because I certainly have seen some guys in there that I don't think are that credible, to be quite honest. I won't point them out right now, but and like you're mentioning Graham Stephan, yeah, again, Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin, I consider those two pretty much the same. They are YouTube broadcasters. They get up early, watch the news, they look at the trends, and then they reiterate the trends. If you look at all the most recent, like 3 or 4 months, it's almost nothing but stimulus checks. Get a free stimulus check, get a second stimulus check. All these people that are hungry for a handout, it's just, whatever. Yeah, that's not my audience. I'm looking for people that want to know how to make money, and maybe some of those people do. But again, Graham Stephan, look, if you're making $500,000 to a couple $1 million a year on YouTube, it doesn't take any talent to buy real estate. In fact, both Graham and Stephan, as I looked last time, neither one of them have ever sold a property. They've never done a 1031. When you're a real estate moneymaker, you do 1031s all the time. I got 2 of them right now I'm in the middle of, and I've done one probably 6 months ago. It's a part of your life as an investor. But those guys have primarily simply taken their proceeds from their income and bought real estate. That takes no talent. That just takes cash. Let's see. Tom, so how do you become rich if you keep exchanging? Well, I hate to quote Grant Cardone, but it's cash flow. When you have properties that create an income, you just have to buy like-kind property. And that pretty much means any kind of real estate. But if I have, look at it this way. If you got a duplex, and maybe you're making $3,000 a month on it, and then you sell it for $600,000-$700,000, and then you buy a 20-unit apartment building for, say $2 million. Well, now instead of $3,000 a month, now maybe you got $20,000 a month coming in, and even with the mortgage, because you put the $600,000 down, you borrowed $1.4 million at 4%, but maybe the thing's bringing in 10%, so now you're making 6% on the $1.4 million. So, that's, you make the margin on what you borrowed, plus you're making what your equity is. You got your equity, and then you got the margin on everything that you borrowed. If you're making 10% and you borrowed it at 4%, you're making 6% on the borrowed money, and you're making 10% on your own cash. It's that money that keeps coming in that, believe me, I could go buy a house every month or so just with the cash that I have coming in rents. And I have to discipline myself to accumulate more cash because I don't necessarily like houses. I buy them and flip them, but my preference is retail, offices, flex space, which is kind of a hybrid between manufacturing and office. In other words, it's something you could do either out of. But anyways, you just keep taking your assets, and they go up in value. You buy stuff under market, so you make money the day you purchase it, and then you continue to make money with inflation, and then things appreciate, and you just keep rolling. I think that. Okay, you should buy it and flip it to get your cash flow. Not really, because if you do, you're going to pay more taxes. So that's kind of the point. If you a 1031 is great as long as you have cash flow. But in the beginning, I didn't do 1031s. I'd buy properties with a partner, and then we'd sell it together, and we'd each take our half. Or sometimes I learned quickly about assignments, which get my book. Listen right now, guys, or as soon as it's done, go to Amazon, get my book for $20, or get the Kindle app for $10, or the Kindle book, I should say. I also have a free app called Flip Anything you can get for free. And I have a mentorship starting on the 15th if you want to take that. No pressure. I have done hundreds of videos you can watch for free. But so anyways, yeah, you don't have to flip for cash flow, but in the beginning you kind of do. If you're starting from zero, you got to have cash. You got to have cash. So let's keep going. But that's what I had to say about Bigger Pockets.
Local meetups. If you wanted to start a local pizza shop, you wouldn't take a business mentorship class from Mark Zuckerberg. The owners of pizza shops in your city would provide way more practical and applicable guidance, even though on the surface it seems like a billion-dollar business.
Okay, I'm going to, Spencer, you do a great job, but I'm going to disagree with you. You might find a mentor locally that'll help you. Maybe. Let me tell you something. The information that I have in here, I wouldn't share with anybody in my community. Why would I create competition in my own backyard? So, and you do not need to learn from somebody locally, okay? It's fine. Even a pizza, listen, even the guy in the pizza, the guy that makes his great pizza, he's not going to share his magic ingredients, right? They don't share recipes. I mean, they people that work in fine dining places, Italian or otherwise, they don't want anybody to copy their recipes, right? Believe me, I have a lot of restaurants. I have even food trailers, and they're extremely protective of their recipes, right? Well, this is my recipe for success, right? And I'm not going to teach it to somebody locally when I'm starting out. Now I'm wealthy, I don't care. But before I got rich, I would never share this information. I just wouldn't do it. But you got to remember, and here's something also, Spencer, I'm telling you too, because I know you're an investor, and you should get my book too if you don't have it. And I tell everybody then my mentorship, I said, look, you got to be a self-starter. You got to do it on your own. You got to do it without anybody's help. You have to have the drive within yourself. If you don't, I'm telling you, you can hang it up. And listen, and if you feel like you can't invest $10 or $20 in a book, then I don't want to tell anybody they should hang it up, but you're just not ready. If you can't spend $20 on a book, you're crazy. You're not going to make any money. And but if you think that knowing very little about real estate and you go and spend $10,000 with Fan Merrill or whatever, somebody else, you're really making a big mistake because you aren't ready. You have to get some understanding of real estate and starting from zero and making some money. I don't care, like I say, it says Flip Anything is my channel. You can do it with some cars, you can do it with some smaller things, but the bottom line is you got to learn how to make money. You got to learn how to buy things under market and sell it for more. That's really the key. That's the key. But so Spencer, I'll tell you right now, I would never, listen, there's a lot of things you're not going to learn from somebody that when you're potentially their competition. And that's why even I can tell you, I have NDAs with people that work for me. I have some company stuff that, and I have some other business interest, and you sign a non-disclosed, non-compete. You have to, otherwise you won't work for me. Why would I let you in and see the secrets if you could copy my crap and sell it to China or start competing with me? That's kind of how that works. But again, I can tell you, I make a ton of money off, I call it, there's always D's, right? Divorces, death, people squander their inheritance from somebody that dies, and just neglect. People, they get depressed, they let their properties go, there's all kinds of reasons. And the things, this is the beauty of real estate, the ways that you make money in real estate, they repeat all the time. People make poor decisions, people die, people squander their inheritance, sell property too cheap. These are the things that happen all the time. There's like 1,100 cities, I think, just in California. I think there's 1,400 in Texas. I don't think there's less than 500 cities in any state, right? And guess what? In every city, in every state, somebody's dying, somebody's divorcing, somebody's inheriting, somebody just doesn't give a damn and sells what they got for cheap. Anyways, disagreeing with you there, Spencer, but other than that, you've been doing a fine job. So let's keep watching.
Owner would be the better mentor. This isn't meant as a knock on Manny. He knows one.
Yeah, I don't like this look, Manny. I can tell you. When I stand in front of one of my buildings, and listen, for you it's even 100-fold. When I stand in front of one of my buildings, it's like standing in front of 10 Lamborghinis. Okay, yet I say the masses are the asses. So many people are like, oh, look at the balloons, and guys will stand in front of cars for you to be in awe of, oh, wow, I want the car, I want the lifestyle. And then they divert you from, looking at this fancy lifestyle to, oh, buy my book about real estate that they know nothing about. Now, I know that's not true of Manny, but the cars are being used as a diversion to get you to buy their course. And with Manny, I make an exception because I know Manny's a very wealthy real estate guy. But I think that's a mistake, what he's doing, standing in front of that car. And unless if he's going to appeal to, guys that have tens of millions, then that might make sense. But doesn't, and I'm that guy, but that doesn't appeal to me. But what does appeal to me is if he stand in front of a Home Depot that he owns, okay? And likewise, that's what you should do as well, is, because like Chris Crone, I'm not a big fan, and I don't even know what to think of him, to be quite honest. But I every time he says, hey, I'm going to teach you something, he doesn't teach you anything. It's like links below, and then hard sales are coming. Hard salesmen are going to be coming at you. So that's all. Oh, I know Manny's real. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Manny's not real. But this is not a good look. This looks like a car salesman. And and he kind of is, I guess, but I don't think he's a bad one. Let's keep listening.
Very specific area of real estate in one or two cities in America.
Hey, I just want to take a minute to share with you what my Millionaire Mastermind platform is all about. We're going to teach you about your personal finances, how to set goals you can achieve, the plan, how to get there, and most importantly, the mindset to stay in the game.
You should follow Manny for motivation and inspiration to be able to live a life with a wife from Deal or No.
The reason I cringed when he said mindset is because of Chris Crone uses mindset all the time. He's ruined the term for me. Chris Crone is. But let's keep listening.
No deal, and to be able to drive a Bugatti to Chick-fil-A. But he won't be able to help you with real estate investing, even though his portfolio is very impressive. One thing I would love to see from Manny is a lot more detail of his transactions or how he goes about finding deals. I have only heard him talking about using LoopNet to find deals, which is a little suspect as it's not typically the best source for finding deals. My guess is that he's connected with a lot of high-end brokers.
All right, so look, I'm not going to give you, I don't want to give away too many secrets because my mentorship, I'm about to teach them some things that involve LoopNet. Don't ignore LoopNet. And you got to remember, Spencer, LoopNet is basically the MLS of commercial, industrial, multifamily. It's everything but homes, okay? It's everything but single-family homes, okay? LoopNet is not something to ignore. It is basically the recognized place to go. It's like they say, it's like the multiple listing service of commercial buildings, of multi-million-dollar deals, buildings that are hundreds of thousands of square feet, all the way down to just, I've been looking at LoopNet for 10 days, and you know what? Anyways, it's not perfect, but it's a very, very important source, as is Craigslist, believe it or not. It's whether or not you got the time to go through it, and you got to take the time. Listen, the difference of looking at LoopNet, and this is what you learn in my book, is it is work, but at least if you know what to do, you can make millions of dollars, okay? Hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, depending on where you are relative to you can make a ton of money compared to what you normally make. And so, look, LoopNet is for guys that are interested in commercial office and stuff, not residential. But so, anyways, keep that in mind.
Brokers who send him the deals. And I'd also love to see more details about the deals he's completed. He's insanely experienced, and I would love to hear that because very few people of his level are on social media. Seeing his car collection and Southern California mansion are definitely inspirational to me, as I plan on having both in about 10 years. Manny is certainly an authentic guru, as nothing about him is fake. He's a good follow if you want to go check him out. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, so that was a good job, Spencer. I can tell you, I can tell that you're not as experienced as a real estate investor as myself and some other people. And that's not knocking you at all, but just with some of your commentary. But you've got a great attitude, and you are seeing the right thing. He is real. He is 100% real. And I can tell you right now, not everybody wants to share all their business. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Now, I know you got guys like, in fact, it's a big sign of inexperience in a big way, or it can be a smokescreen in some ways. And I'm talking about, look, if you just watch Meet Kevin and watch Graham Stephan, go back 5 years. How I made myself a millionaire, how I made $1 million, and then all of a sudden it's like they buy real estate, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm a real estate millionaire, as if they made their money in real estate when they had not, other than as a salesperson. But to extrapolate that to be, I made millions in real estate is ridiculous. And I don't think it's ridiculous in Manny's, and I've heard Manny speak on the video that I did on him. He does know what he's doing. And it is relative, and it's not, and I'll explain. When you are buying properties that cost millions of dollars, okay, most people don't question me at all, because in the course of our conversation, I will say things like, yeah, I've got a 1031 and I've got, whatever, $3 million in it, or 100,000 or 200 or 400 or whatever. I let them know right away. They can tell very quickly. They can assess that I know what I'm doing. It's not BS, okay? Now, that's the problem. Like, when I've hired people to make apps, and I got a great app that's free, by the way, but it was very difficult for me to assess if somebody was experienced or not because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I wasn't a coder. I don't have the experience. So somebody could actually, and I didn't like it. I felt vulnerable to the fact that somebody could sell me a bill of goods. They could be charging me by the hour more than I should be paid. They could say they have experience that's greater than they have, and because I don't know. And I just relate that a little bit to you because your point about LoopNet, and believe me, you're wrong. You're wrong on that, Spencer, but it's okay. It is a great source. But it's not perfect. And if I ever talk to you directly, I'll tell you why. I'm not going to say right now. But anyways, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let's look at some comments. Oh, how can we get into the mentorship program? Okay, well, thanks, because I'm trying to round up people with the mentorship. Last time I announced it sold out quickly. Go to my site. I'll type it in here, flipanythingusa.com, okay? Spell it. So flipanythingusa.com, okay? And you'll see in there the mentorship. Look, I was going to charge $1,800, but I did a thing called the Founding Members Special. A bunch of people signed up. A bunch of them are watching right now. And what I do is like a 1-month crash course. But you're still in the group for another 11 months after that. And I'm continuing to share and talk to people. But I even do what I call critical phone support. My goal is and people have already made money. People have already bought and sold. I've got testimonials lined up I'm going to start putting on here. Because that's what I think is so disgusting about some of these guys that claim they have thousands of people that they've trained or that have taken their course or invested with them, but not one testimonial, not one person to say that's great. Okay, and my understanding is like on Than Merrill's seminar, no cameras, no recording devices. You might even have to sign something to that effect. And so maybe their hands are tied from even speaking their mind about it. I don't know. But I've heard some people very, very critical of Grant Cardone, very, very critical of Than Merrill, and it's just strange. It's just strange when nobody's talking about whether they learned something or not. Yeah, Manny has commented on my video, and I haven't said anything terrible, and I'm a straight shooter. I tell you what I think, and like I try to respectfully disagree, and I agree with Cornelia Spencer about Manny. I question whether or not he can be a good mentor for the little guy, but I honestly don't know, and I don't know because I disagree with some of your stuff, Spencer, on here regarding Manny. Because he started from nothing. And that's an experience. I'm telling you, that's what separates me from all the other gurus on YouTube, except maybe for Manny, except for maybe Ben Mallah. Because Ben Mallah, when I hear Ben Mallah talk, he sounds just like, it's like exactly what I would tell somebody. It's the same thing. It's not that complicated. It's just math. You buy it for less than it's worth. Don't buy it unless it's worth more, and you can sell it for more. That's my whole deal. But the difference between me and Ben Mallah is Ben has only primarily concentrated, I won't say only, on HUD projects. And he'll tell you, that's what he knows. He knows HUD stuff. That's for the housing urban development. I've owned one HUD property, so I don't have the most experience. But the experience is this. The government sends you a check, and it comes every month. So he doesn't have any problem with getting his money on those apartments that are like that. Now, but anyways, you just joined the mentorship. Great. Looking forward to it, man. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. So look, listen, right now, join the mentorship. Go join my mentorship. There's people in here that'll attest to how much they like it. I don't have anybody that's come out and said, gee, it sucked. I haven't had anybody do that. And if they do, I'm certainly going to help you hold your hand and make sure you make some money. Because, listen, it's in my best interest for me to help you make money anyways. But that's not where I started out. And if you look at my record, I did probably 300 videos over the last 3 or 4 years before I even released the book. And it was only after I released the book, which was January, that so many people, my email got so jam-packed, I couldn't help people anymore. And I get so many basic questions. I had to do the mentorship in order to thin down the questions. And because I always say, I test sincerity with the wallet. If you really, really want to be in my mentorship, you got to own the book. So if you haven't, you got to order the book. The book's $10, on Kindle, or 20 on paperback. You have to have the book. Otherwise, I won't mentor you. This is your foundation, okay? This is your foundation. And believe me, this is like the greatest shortcut on earth. You can still do it just watching all my free videos. But this is like the condensed version, it's good to know what matters most, okay? And I can tell you, I read my own book to keep myself on path, because when you write a book and you sincerely devote yourself to giving, you write down the stuff that's most important. So even for myself, I read my own book. It keeps me on point. It keeps me motivated, and it keeps me on track. Because let me tell you, somebody asked me the other day, Tom, what are the biggest mistakes, right? What's the biggest loss? And I can tell you what one of the biggest losses is. I can tell you 2 or 3, but I'm not going to do it right now. But what I can tell you is what they all had in common, whether it was a big loss or a little loss: hesitation, not stopping in everything and going right to the target, which is to purchase the property. That means I see a sign, I don't drive by it. I stop. I write it down. I take a picture of it with my phone. And then as soon as I'm near a phone or I got a minute, I call. Or I call them right where I'm standing in front of the phone or in front of the sign and say, hey, tell me what I'm looking at. What do I got here? Does it include the building? You follow me? Hesitation it's cost me millions of dollars. But the fact is, I don't usually hesitate. And that's what you learn from me is don't hesitate, don't wait. And you guys know me well, that have been following me for a long time. I was on Ocean Drive in Ventura, California, technically Oxnard, Channel Islands we called it. and I'm writing down, I'm looking at a house, and I'm writing down the for sale sign, and the house next door, this window opens up, and this young man says, teenager, he says, hey, don't buy that one, buy this one. And I go, oh yeah, what's up? He goes, yeah, my mom's selling it. And so I said, what's her number? We're like talking 40 feet away from each other. I'm talking from the street. But he saw me writing down the for sale sign. And so I wrote down her number. I called her immediately. She told me she'd sell it to me for $250,000, owner finance. She'd take $50,000 down. But guess what? That was my first day at the beach. I didn't know what it was worth. And so I'm digging around, and I'm like, realize, and I'm busy. I'm a busy guy at that time. I owned a cabinet shop. I had employees, all kinds of crap going on at the time. But I got late. I got back to her just a little bit late. And I realized this thing's worth over $400,000. And I called her. I said, okay, let's write it up. I'll drive. She lived in Bell Canyon, California, a ritzy area. She was a wealthy gal. And I said, okay, I'm ready to buy it. I'll be right over. And she says, he who hesitates gets left at the starting gate. I'll never forget it. It still haunts me today. But it's the greatest lesson ever. And this is when, so she said, I had an agent, and he told me that if he couldn't sell this property within the month for over $400,000, he said he would buy it himself. The property is worth probably $500,000. I never went inside it. I never even went inside it. I didn't get a chance. The kid wasn't going to show it to me, but but see, that's the difference of not jumping on a lead. And some of you know, I know another one, a guy made $5 million. He overheard two farmers talking about another farmer that died. He talked to them and discerned that the deal was going to be taking place that Sunday at an auction. He goes there, nobody's there. It wasn't even an auction. They were just going to talk to people and show the price. He gets there, nobody's there. It's him, a Century 21 real estate agent that wasn't very bright, new residential, didn't know crap about land. And this is 160 acres. It's worth over $40,000 an acre. He says, hey, I'll give you $1,000 an acre. Well, the two kids that were inheriting the money, and this is what I was talking about, how inheritance squandered, they go, $1,000 an acre, that's a lot, because they came from Oklahoma, where they're paying $100 an acre. So he got that property for $160,000, and I'm sure he was just a nervous wreck for 2 or 3 months because he had to go through the probate. But when that deal was done, he sold one piece for 2.8, part of it for 2.8 million, and then the other one he sold for, I think about 2.5. He got like 5.3 million or something like that for a property he paid $160,000 for. He didn't hesitate. He overheard them. He didn't tell anybody. He kept his mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. You got to be a one-man show or a one-woman show. You hear information. Information is valuable. What I'm sharing with you right now is super valuable. A lot of you don't know it, but this is the stuff that can make you millions. But listen, get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. Watch my videos. If you want to step it up and you're serious, take my mentorship. We do a Zoom meeting every Saturday, but even more valuable than the Zoom. The Zoom is very valuable, but now you got the benefit of the Zoom meetings that I've done before that. It's just an amazing thing. And look, you can read already in these comments people that are saying good things that are in the class, and I appreciate you guys popping in. Hey, which, by the way, how many concurrent viewers do we have right now? How many people are watching? If somebody can tell me, I can't see it. But Tahunga, huh? Let me see what I got here. Okay. Yeah, it's a shame, only 60 people. I'm telling you, I got information so good. But what I don't do is I don't have a slick production. And but in all honesty, I've done some kind of funny critical things that, I did one on Grant Cardone, got 35,000 viewers, thousands of thumbs up. But people are there for the entertainment. But a handful of those people are serious about making money. And I assume those of you that are watching probably are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be still watching. Jump on it. Get the book. Read the book. And then if you want to go a step further, take the mentorship. It's a great group. Well, I kind of do. I might do the stimulus. I tell you what I want to ask people that are so interested in these stimulus videos: don't piss your check away. invest it, buy my book, do something with it. All right, let's take. Yeah, I know. Yeah, believe me, I feel sorry for anybody that gets a stimulus check because it means, unless you're young, because it means that you're not where you should be financially. It means you qualify for stimulus. So I feel bad for anybody that qualifies for stimulus. Even if you got a job and qualify for stimulus, I feel bad. Okay, so let's get to some questions. Who wants to talk about something? Who's got something going that I can help you with? Hey, Risha, come on. I know you tried to reach out to me on... Oh, actually, there's a guy, Luis. Luis, are you in here? I thought he was in the mentorship, but he didn't have my number, so I know he didn't. But he wanted me to call him. I don't have time, but I'll take anybody's question right now. I'll take anybody's question right now. Yeah, I get deals that are on market all the time. It's about being there first a lot of times. A lot of times it's being patient. There's a lot to it, but it's pretty much common sense. Yeah, no, I know. Believe me. People, look, the masses are the asses, okay? So believe me, if I had a goofier thing going here, there'd be 10 times more watchers. And you might be one of them, but you'd be entertained. But when somebody talks money, right? That's what gets your attention. That's for me too. And that's how you got to be. You got to get excited about money and information, okay? Because they're related, believe me. Look, if Christmas holiday, get my book. All these questions, a lot of these, I know you guys are asking. I know you don't have my book. And I can tell you right now, the people that are in here that have my course or that have been with me and have my book, they can answer the questions you're asking. They can answer. Feel free to answer the questions, Lou, Anne Marie, or anybody that's in here. It's the truth. There are no bad properties, okay? I don't care how screwed up. I don't care if it's a bad neighborhood. I don't care if it's a junkyard. I don't care if it's out in the middle of the desert. It can even be partially in a floodplain. It has value to someone, right? It has value to someone. And the short of it is this, and it applies to things, right? If you know a car's worth, that is worth $10,000, it's worth it for sure. You can sell it tomorrow. It's a great deal for $10,000. Well, and you can buy it for $5,000. Well, you buy it so you can sell it the next day and make $5,000. Well, that's real estate. Real estate's, only something used like a car can be sold too cheap because somebody has it paid for. And once they have it paid for, they can afford to make the mistake of selling something too cheap. Or they can just simply choose to sell it too cheap, which also happens, by the way. But what I'm telling you is real estate is like that used car. It's all used. Somebody's lived there before. Somebody, look at everything's used. Earth is pretty old, right? So the real estate is used. It's previously owned. That's the best thing on earth because it means it can be paid for, and it means that they can sell it to you for less than it's worth. And that's the main thing, is people sell properties for less than they're worth. And they don't always do it on purpose, but they do it. They do it regularly, and they do it in every city and every town. And that's why I don't mind sharing with you, because I can make those deals myself in my towns, or towns, plural, the different ones that I'm in. And I have multiple properties for different reasons, and I have vacation property, too, that I visit, and I can buy around there, too. I don't like to buy too close to my vacation property, though, because I don't want to see one of my properties being abused when I'm trying to relax. So I don't want to drive by and go, shit, what are they doing? When I'm about to, be sipping a margarita on my deck looking at the lake. So you got to be careful for stuff like that. Look, Aga, I'm telling you, you don't need a buddy or a partner. You know what? Let me just tell you, I'm telling you, you don't need you got to be able to do it on your own. You have to. Some of you guys have a great partner. I have twin boys, and they would be good partners for each other. But in general, I don't see it. My wife would say, I would pull up, and she'd go, "Why are we stopping here?" And I go, "Oh, we own this place." See, that's how involved my wife has been with my real estate deals, right? She doesn't know. She didn't even know what she owns. Okay, my kids don't either. And she knows some now, but but that was a long time ago. When I was already a millionaire when I got married. When I got married, I was a millionaire, which reminds me of the joke. A guy was talking about his wife made him a multi-millionaire. And another guy was talking about, well, yeah, my wife made me a millionaire. And he goes, really? Well, how'd she do that? And what did you do before that? And he goes, multi-millionaire. So, anyways, I think it's a funny joke. A lot of people actually can relate to that, unfortunately. Okay, you've been renting the same house 28 years. Whew. Thinking of asking our landlord to sell. You know what? Is your rent cheap? Seriously, is your rent cheap, Jose? You've been there 28 years. I imagine they're giving you a decent deal. You don't need to own it, okay? You don't need to own it. In fact, everybody watching here, make a note of this. I have one called re-renting, where I made over $1.5 million, okay? I think I said I made $1 million, but I really made $1.5 million. But a little more than that, actually. I try not to, I don't ever want to be caught exaggerating. But I had a property that I leased at $3,000 a month with the right to sublet, and I rented it for $20,000 to $25,000. So I would never buy that property, because if I bought it, I'd have a $20,000 a month mortgage. But by leasing it and having it tied up for those 7 years, I was able to make $15,000 to $20,000 on it over a period of 7 years. And this is the kind of stuff you'll learn about. Okay, you're going to think a little bit outside the box. You got to remember the beautiful thing about real estate is that you can make any deal you want. You can have the craziest terms you want. My first property, I got a 6-month escrow, and I got to stay in the property. And I was literally living in it. They didn't know that. It was a building for my company, for my business. I had a cabinet shop I'd started. I was broke, starving. I was 19 years old. I remember I borrowed some money from my grandma to buy a compressor and a saw. And, but the fact that I could operate 6 months rent-free. So at the end of that 6 months, I'd saved the $10,000 that I needed to buy the deal. But even if on that 6th month, even if I couldn't afford it, I saved $10,000, okay, period, because I wasn't paying it out in rent. So it's a wonderful thing. There's no better, greater way to wealth than real estate. Think about it. Think about things that you can buy that appreciate in value. There's not very many of them, okay? Real estate's the number one thing. I can't think of anything better. Yeah, okay. Good. I'm glad you're asking about the book, Funny Buddy. And you guys, listen, I always seek criticism from even my students. Is there something I didn't, I always like everybody, and I'll even say right now, is there anything else you need me to explain or ask about? Go ahead. In fact, there's I've got there's a long stack of things that have been written here. If somebody's got a question, even if you've already asked above, just repost it right now and I'll try to get to it. But I actually do have a contract waiting to sign. I just made an offer. I won't go into detail. I never do until I get something signed. I did get that house signed by the other day, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to buy it because I think I might have something better. Okay, Funny Buddy, get the book. Now you have to get the book. No more. See, those are... Funny Buddy, that is like too basic of a question. Really a basic question. That's why I started the mentorship, is because I was getting inundated with basic questions. And imagine answering a question that's very basic and then having it be asked 10 more times in an email or in a post. It's very frustrating because my time's worth something. But then I go through 10 of those emails, and then I get an email that's 3 days old, and it's a guy that's going, Tom, I got a great deal, and I don't know what to do, and I'm about to buy it, and I'm nervous, but, and they tell me some details, and I'm like, geez, that sounds like a fantastic deal. And I'm getting to him 3 days late because of a bunch of basic questions that could have been answered out of my book, okay? So I get the book. That's the answer on that one. Yep, I love it, Ken. Thank you for answering these questions. My buying criteria is it's got to be a great deal. It's got to be, say, minimum 20 to 35% below market. I have to be able to sell it for more. I mean, I have to know for sure what it's worth, and that's what you get. You'll get knowledge as you study your market, and then you won't buy anything unless it's worth more. If you're rich, once you have, tens of millions or millions even, whatever, you can start to buy stuff, and you want to speculate a little bit, you can afford to. But you can't afford to speculate when you start. You can't really afford to buy and hold. You really can't. In the beginning, you got to buy and flip. Buy and flip, buy and flip, buy and flip. Then when you get something that actually brings in cash flow, then you keep that, and then you maybe borrow against it. And then you start pulling your cash out of stuff that you have a lot of equity in. What else? I'm looking at the bottom here. If you got a question you asked, just go to the bottom. I can't scan too far up here. Yeah, Aga, I'm not sure why you say you're stuck and can't pull the trigger, but you know what? You can study, you can get the information, you can find a deal, and you can hand it to somebody else and take an assignment fee. You'll learn that early on in my life, thank God. I got the first lesson that I could buy a property with no credit, 19. But the other great thing was when I was looking for a partner because I had a property that was a great deal that I couldn't afford to buy by myself. And so who did I go to? Who has money? Well, your boss, the guy that put you to work. I went to my old boss and said, hey, boss, I got a great deal. Come look at it. He came and looked at it. He said, Tommy, that's a fantastic deal. He goes, and I was saying it was worth, $220, and I was buying it for like $150 or $170. I can't remember now. And he says, man, that's a great deal, Tommy. He goes, but I don't want a partner. And I'm like, huh? What? Like, what? Why would you not want to, go in on this with me? It's a great deal. Then he goes, how about I just give you $20,000 and I buy it by myself? And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. And that's where I learned about assignments, which you guys like to refer to as flips and wholesaling and that sort of thing. But that was like 35 years ago. I mean, I'm not even 100% sure. I was in my 20s for sure. Or, like 21, maybe 20. I don't even know. It's been a while. But that was a fantastic amount of money. You know what I mean? And then I had other deals I'd buy, and and I'd find a partner that could pay for it. And then it's like, hey, we'll sell it, and we split the money, and it'd be like splitting $12,000 or $15,000. Then one of the partners I had, he said, hey, I want to keep it. And I said, okay, give me half the profit. He gave me $7,000, and now I had a nest egg probably between $20,000 and $35,000. I bought a house. Now I had cash in the bank. I'd been around for a couple of years. I had banks were starting to lend again. It was coming down from really high interest. I got a low rate of 9 1/8. Okay, now it's like 3 times less. So imagine how tough it is. You're buying a $145,000 home, 9 1/8 interest. You were hoping that they could amortize the loan over 50 years. So believe me, money is so cheap right now. It's amazing. Okay, Lou. Tom, working on an REO after running comps, property 80,000 under market. I was going to offer 70% lower. 70%. I mean 70% on the dollar, right? 30% off. I mean, if you can get it for 70% off, I've done it before, but that's great. No, Lou, I like it, man. And here's the other thing. A lot of times you make an offer and you're thinking, oh, they're entertaining the offer. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, it looks good. They haven't said no. Well, you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You can't do that. You got to keep looking. You got to find another one. Because guess what? They might twiddle their thumbs for 2 weeks and then come back and say, you know what? It's not high enough. And now you just spent 2 weeks of your life twiddling your thumbs, anticipating a win when you didn't get it, where you should be looking for another deal. That's what I did, like just now. I told you guys I think I nailed this deal on this house. Well, I did. Well, and it's a great deal. But guess what? I think I found a better deal. And so now the house is like not looking like such a great idea. But I'll use it as a fallback. So, in fact, I'm going to get off the phone here pretty quick. I'm going to go get this offer signed, and then hopefully they're going to sign it and get it back, and then I'll share with you. This is one I'm probably going to build a building on it. It's a very good deal on a piece of property, and it's going to give me an opportunity to build something, which I haven't done for a while. Yeah, Max, you gauge, this Max's question, is there a point where you say it's worth holding instead of flipping? I don't really relate that so much to the asset as your own personal financial health, right? Like right now, the reason I don't sell, I have a property right now, brings in about $93,000 a year, okay? So at 6%, it makes it worth about $1.7 million. And I got a guy that'll give me $1.6 million or $1.7 million for it. I don't even want it. I told him, I said, I'm trying to find a property for $1.6 million right now that pays 6%. I can't find anything right now. And so I don't want to have the pressure of having to buy something, and I will have that pressure. If I sell it and I put it in a 1031, now I got to find something in 45 days. It's a horrible pressure to have. It sucks. It really sucks, because if I don't find something, I'm going to end up paying, say 25% on the gain. In this case, that property's paid for. So I'd be paying 25% of my, 1.6, just say $400,000. And now what? Now I've got after that I'd have $1.2 million and with nothing to show for it. And I'd have to make up that $400,000. This is the power of deferring, the 1031 thing that's so important. That's why Manny does it. That's why Ben Mala does it. That's why I do it. It's all the same thing. We're making more money with our own money. It's our money, but we're deferring the taxes, so we'll pay on them down the road. And in the meantime, it's like a tax-free loan. I guess you can kind of look at it that way. Although it's a pretty good deal for the government getting a piece of our action, too. Okay, Ken, because I built a 2-family on the property and I'm all in for $500K and it's worth $1 million. Okay, so you have $500,000 equity. Do you have more equity than that? Do you owe $500,000? Is that what you mean? But it's worth $1 million? Ken, that was for you. Do you owe $500,000 on it, or that's what you have in it? When I say that's what you have in it, you could have $500,000 cash, so you might have $1 million equity. So you may just want to get a line of credit. Get a line of credit. Don't just borrow money. So I've seen people go in and they borrow $200,000 or $300,000 against their property before they have anything to buy, and then they're paying interest on this $300,000 that they're not using. Crazy. Get a line of credit. Get a checkbook. I put $1 million down on a $1.1 million. I paid $1.1 million down on a property I bought for, I think, 1.175. So the day I bought it, I bought $1 million. Just say it $1.2 million. I put $1.1 million down on a $1.2 million property, and the day I closed, of course, I had $1.1 million in credit, but I had a line of credit the same day. So I could write checks up to $800,000 that day. So I bought it, I deferred the taxes, bought the property, and then I took that checkbook and I bought a couple more buildings and made, probably $10 million on what I bought with those over a period of time. Okay, Jose, if you had $10K and zero debt, what would you do with it? I already have a mortgage and don't want to sell, just wondering what I should. I'd buy my book, okay? Buy my book, number one. But what I would do is I would go look. You could play it a couple different ways. You could just go buy something. You might, I don't know where you're at. You can have some places there's lots for $10,000. And when you buy lots that are under $50,000, you have a much greater potential to double and triple whatever you invest. You have a much greater chance of doubling and tripling. It's just the truth. Things that are under $100,000, there's a lot more chance that you'll double and triple on whatever you buy. Because once you get above that amount, people watch their property more closely, and then they scrutinize it harder, and then they might sell it maybe 20 to 30% under market. But the idea that they're going to sell it, 100 or for 30 cents on the dollar, or much smaller, over 100,000. Not necessarily though. I actually landed a hell of a deal a couple of years ago. I won't mention it at the moment, but it's in the videos that I've already done. But it's my little retreat now. Johnny's Garden. If you remember that song, Johnny's Garden, that's what I think of when I'm at my lake house. You should make money on every flip, of course. But if you're going to, not cash flow, but you should make money. And if you can flip it and roll it into something else, that's fine. If you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars already, then you should just flip it, take the cash, pay the taxes. Don't worry about it. Yeah, there you go, Ken. That's perfect. Yeah, so Ken said he bought a piece of land for $195,000, and a realtor builder offered him $30K to assign it over. And see, those are the things you can do. I've done it many, many times. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I say. There's all these people, oh, I got this great, cool. Listen, real estate has not changed. It hasn't changed. People still sell it. Still, people finance it. People want cash for it. People go on. I mean, the location becomes better as places grow and expand. Pieces of property that are a little bit on the outskirts are suddenly the new downtown, the new central place. That does happen. All right. A couple questions and we'll be done, guys. But Lou, thanks a lot. And everybody that's in here, Risha, and these are people that are in my class already. Class is mostly concluded, but we still hang out and talk. And I'm always here for you guys. You guys actually have my cell phone number now for the critical support. I'm hoping that we make some deals here, and all of us. All right. Cool. Oh, you got $700,000 equity, Ken? Well, Ken, it's just, if you can roll it into something else. Is it your home? You said it's a duplex. Do you got a homestead on it? Because if you got a homestead on it, talk to your CPA. Maybe a little problem if it's a duplex. But, typically if it's a homestead property, you can sell it, and then you have time, up to 2 years, to reinvest all that equity that you have, which would be awesome. It would be awesome to have that kind of time. It'd be kind of like doing a 1031, but you have a lot more time, which means you're going to make a lot better deal because you have a lot more time to find a deal. You don't have to be under the gun like I am right now. All right. Yeah. Well, I understand. Funny buddy, I understand Ken was explaining that he was offered a $30,000 assignment fee. I don't care whether he took it or not. Hopefully, it was the right decision to not take it. But like I say, you can't get hurt taking a profit. When I flipped that property to John Brooks, he probably made $50,000 on the deal. I made 20. That was fine for me. I got my money right away, and I didn't have to screw with it. You probably can't buy it since you're 16. Since I'm 16, I found a $100,000 house in a $200,000 neighborhood. What should I do? Well, get a contract written on it and write down whoever, a friend of yours that's 18 that can be your partner on it, and work a deal. Or talk to your dad or your mom or something. Talk to somebody that's over 18 that you trust. Where are you located? Maybe I'll give you 10 grand and I'll buy it. All right, so, hey, look, it would help my video if some of you would go into the comments under the video. This chat stuff gets lost afterwards. But if you would go into this after the video and, write some questions or comments, say something nice, thumbs up or, whatever, the routine. But go under there and it would help my channel. I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to try to be on here damn near every day, but I'm trying to make a regular stop every Tuesday, Thursday at 7 o'clock. And I'm going to try to do Tuesday, Thursdays at 10 a.m. as well. And then on Saturdays, of course, I'm firing up the course again. And I'm about to email my email list and see who wants to jump in this round. A lot of people couldn't get in last time for for various reasons. So cool. Thanks, Lou. Thanks, everyone. Lou, I'm going to schedule a Zoom meeting. And you guys will be able to get in, and you'll see some of the new class, the people in the new class. So you're always invited into the new meetings, but some of you guys might have to you know what I mean. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right. Hey, that's it. Everybody, thank you very much, and get the book.